Congratulations, woman. The battle that once drained your soul has come to an end. The weight you carried, the tears you shed in silence, the nights where you thought you would not survive. Hear me today. You will never have to go through that again. The very season that tried to bury you has been completed. The storm that raged over your head has run out of rain. You have crossed over, and what once had power over you has lost its grip. Lift your head high, because heaven has declared over your life, it is finished. The reason you feel lighter in your spirit is because pain has already delivered its final lesson. You were never meant to stay in sorrow. Pain was not your home, it was only your teacher. It showed up to stretch your capacity, but it was never designed to remain permanent. And the fact that you are still here means you have already learned what you needed to know. That is why you will never have to go through that again. You see, detachment is the proof of maturity. When you can release the thing that once consumed your heart, it means you have risen above it. The power is no longer in the pain. The power is now in you. What you used to chase no longer has value to your spirit, because your growth has outgrown your past. A strong woman is not the one who can endure endless suffering, but the one who can finally detach, knowing her worth is no longer defined by what she lost. Deep inside your spirit, you already sense this shift. You may not have seen all the evidence yet, but something within you whispers, "This is over." That is the voice of God affirming closure before your eyes can even confirm it. Every wound has an expiration date, and yours has arrived. When heaven says a chapter is closed, no force on earth can reopen it. What once tried to break you has actually built you. The tears strengthened your vision. The rejection sharpened your discernment. The betrayal clarified your purpose. Every ounce of pressure that was placed upon you has transformed you into a woman who cannot be easily shaken. You are stronger now, not because of what you went through, but because of what you came out with. The shift always begins in the mind. You stopped rehearsing the pain. You stopped replaying the betrayal. You stopped glorifying the storm. And the moment your thoughts detached from the hurt, healing became permanent. That is why from today forward, you will look at your past without bleeding. You will remember without trembling. You will speak about it without tears. You are free because the battlefield of the mind has been won. And hear me, God never ends something without beginning something greater. The closed door was not a punishment, it was a promotion. The silence you endured was not neglect, it was preparation. What seemed like loss was actually divine redirection. You are not empty. You are being positioned for the fullness of what is next. Most importantly, your identity is not tied to what you survived. You are not a victim of what you went through. You are the victor who emerged from it. Your name is not broken. Your name is not betrayed. Your name is not abandoned. Your name is chosen. Your name is healed. Your name is complete. The storm may have touched you, but it did not define you. What defines you is the strength, the wisdom, the clarity, and the unshakable confidence you now walk with. Pain is never wasted, and it is never accidental. When it enters your life, it is not sent to destroy you, but to instruct you. Every trial, every disappointment, every wound carries within it a lesson that could not be taught in comfort. Pain has a voice. It teaches patience. It teaches discernment. It teaches you how to see beyond the surface of life. And once its message has been delivered, its mission is complete. That is why you must never confuse pain with permanence. It is a teacher, not a destination. You were never meant to build a house in the valley of sorrow. You were only meant to pass through it. So many people repeat the same cycles because they hold on to the pain as an identity instead of as a lesson. They carry wounds into new seasons, and in doing so, they drag unfinished business into fresh opportunities. But when you finally recognize that pain has already done its work, you realize you no longer need to rehearse it. The moment you extract the wisdom, you can release the suffering. The test ends the moment you have the answers, and life is no different. The proof that pain has fulfilled its purpose is that you can look back at what once shattered you and now see wisdom instead of wounds. The very thing that caused sleepless nights becomes the very foundation of your strength. Pain cannot hold you once it has delivered its teaching, because at that point you have already transcended it. You have grown, you have matured, you have been stretched, and you have seen what you could never see before. When the lesson is learned, the burden is lifted. That is why what you endured is finished. You will not have to walk through it again. Detachment is not weakness, it is strength in its highest form. When a woman learns to release what once consumed her heart, she is proving that her spirit has matured beyond dependency. Holding on to something that hurts is easy because familiarity is comfortable even when it is destructive. But to let go, to release what no longer serves your destiny, requires courage and clarity. Detachment is not running away, it is rising above. It is the conscious decision to no longer allow your worth to be measured by the things or people that failed to value you. There comes a point when your spirit simply refuses to remain tied to what dishonors your future. You stop begging for validation. You stop clinging to situations that drain you, and you stop sacrificing your peace for the illusion of belonging. That moment of release is the evidence that you have stepped into maturity. What once triggered your tears now meets your silence. What once demanded your energy now receives none of your attention. That is not bitterness, it is growth. The greatest victories are often invisible, and one of them is the quiet strength of detachment. It is when your heart says, I love myself enough to let this go. It is when you no longer chase what does not align with your destiny. The world may interpret your detachment as indifference, but in truth, it is freedom. You are not escaping, you are evolving. You are proving that nothing outside of you has power over your spirit. Detachment is the seal that you have matured because you no longer need to hold on to prove your worth. You are whole enough to release and strong enough to walk forward without what once defined you. Your spirit always knows when a chapter is over, even before your eyes can see the evidence. There is a quiet whisper inside you, a gentle yet firm nudge that tells you the season is ended. Sometimes you may not understand it because on the outside, nothing seems different. The people are still present. The environment looks the same and the routines continue. Yet deep within, something no longer feels alive. That inner knowing is not confusion. It is revelation. It is the Spirit of God signaling that completion has taken place. When a season is over, peace begins to withdraw from what once excited you. The conversations that once gave you joy now feel heavy. The places where you once felt comfortable now feel suffocating. The desires that once pulled your heart no longer have power over you. This is not a sign of failure. It is the evidence of transition. Your spirit has outgrown the season, and God is moving you to what is next. Many times the danger comes when we ignore that inner signal and continue to hold on. We fight to keep alive what heaven has already closed. And as long as you cling, you prolong your suffering. But when you trust the inner confirmation of completion, you begin to walk with divine timing. You stop resisting the closing of doors and begin to honor the rhythm of God's seasons. Your spirit is always ahead of your circumstances. Long before the physical change takes place, your inner self receives the memo of heaven. That is why you sometimes feel done, even when nothing has ended yet. Trust that awareness. Trust that knowing. When your spirit says the season is finished, it means God has already prepared the next chapter. What once threatened to break you has actually been shaping you all along. The crushing weight of betrayal, disappointment, and rejection was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to build a version of you that could not exist without the pressure. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. They are birthed under heat and force. In the same way, your character, your strength, and your discernment were being carved out in the very moments you thought you were being destroyed. Every sleepless night, every tear that fell, every unanswered question became raw material for your growth. You may not have seen it while you were in the middle of it, but the very thing you thought was breaking you was silently building the foundation for who you have now become. That's why you can look back today and realize you are no longer the same woman who first entered that storm. You are wiser. You are stronger. You can see through deception more clearly. You can recognize truth more quickly. You have become equipped for a future that requires a stronger version of you. The things that were meant to weaken your voice have actually given you authority. The rejection that once left you in tears has taught you how to stand alone with dignity. The betrayal that once wounded you has sharpened your ability to discern real loyalty from empty words. Every blow that came against you was secretly shaping a leader, a woman of unshakable presence. You thought the fire was consuming you, but it was only refining you. What was meant for evil has turned into your greatest empowerment. The breaking was never the end. It was the process of construction, preparing you for a life you could not have stepped into without being tested. Freedom always begins within before it manifests around you. The real chains are not the circumstances you face, but the thoughts you keep rehearsing. As long as you replay the wounds in your mind, the past continues to live in your present. Healing is not only about time passing, it is about deciding what you allow to occupy your thoughts. The day you stop rehearsing your pain is the day you invite freedom to take permanent residence in your life. And your mind is the battlefield where victory is either won or lost. You can be out of a toxic relationship, out of a painful situation, even out of the storm, yet still be bound by it if you carry it in your thoughts. Every time you replay what was said, every time you revisit the betrayal, every time you keep the memory alive, you are chaining yourself to an experience that no longer deserves space in your destiny. Freedom comes when you choose to think higher, when you refuse to let yesterday dictate the rhythm of today. The moment you begin to shift your thoughts, your life begins to shift. When you no longer speak the language of wounds, but instead declare healing, peace begins to follow. When you train your mind to stop asking, why me, and start asking, what did this teach me, your perspective is elevated. That shift is the moment chains fall off. What begins as a decision in the mind eventually becomes a reality in your life. You find yourself lighter, clearer, stronger, not because the storm never happened, but because it no longer controls the atmosphere of your heart. Freedom takes root when your mind aligns with the truth that you are already healed, already whole, and already released from what once held you. God never closes a chapter without having already written the next one. Every ending in your life is a divine signal that something greater has been prepared. It may feel like loss, it may look like rejection, it may even appear as though something valuable was taken from you, but in truth, heaven never subtracts without multiplying. The closing of a door is not punishment, it is promotion. The silence after something ends is not emptiness, it is preparation. What you thought was the end of your story is often just the beginning of a higher assignment. When God removes something, it is not because He wants you empty, but because He intends to fill you with something that could not coexist with what you were holding on to. Sometimes the reason a season feels stripped away is because you are carrying too much weight to step into the next dimension of your purpose. His endings are divine alignments. They clear out space for what you could not have seen, prayed for, or even imagined. It is in those moments of closure that faith must become your anchor, because the temptation is to mourn over what is gone rather than celebrate what is coming. Yet the truth is this: God is too intentional to leave you stranded. If something was allowed to end, it is because it no longer had the capacity to carry you into your future. The greater blessing requires a greater container, and endings are the way heaven expands you. So every time a door shuts, every time a chapter concludes, remember this: your Father has already designed the upgrade. What looks like loss is often the very pathway to abundance. What feels like rejection is actually divine redirection. He never ends something unless He is about to begin something greater. Your identity is not tied to the battles you survive, but to the strength you carry out of them. Too often, people allow their past wounds to define their name. They see themselves as the rejected one, the abandoned one, the betrayed one. But those labels are not your truth. They are only temporary chapters of a story that continues beyond the pain. You are not the storm you went through. You are the woman who came out of it with wisdom, clarity, and resilience. What you endured was an event, not your identity. It happened to you, but it does not define you. If you are not careful, you can begin to wear your pain as a garment, carrying it into every new season, allowing it to shape how you see yourself and how others see you. But the moment you recognize that your true identity is rooted in who God says you are, not in what happened to you, the chains break. You stop introducing yourself to the world through the lens of your wounds and begin to present yourself as whole, healed, and chosen. The scars you carry are not marks of shame, but evidence of survival. They are proof that what was designed to destroy you did not succeed. And even those scars do not define you. They simply remind you of the strength within you. Your name is not tied to your struggle. Your name is tied to your destiny. You are not the woman who was left behind. You are the woman who kept walking. You are not the woman who was broken. You are the woman who became unbreakable. You are not the woman who lost. You are the woman who discovered her true worth. Your identity is victory, not victimhood. Woman, stand tall and hear this with all the authority of heaven. What once held you captive has no claim over you anymore. The chains have been broken, the lessons have been learned, and the season has been sealed. You are not walking in circles. You are stepping into new ground. Do not look back. Do not rehearse the pain. Do not shrink yourself to fit into places you have already outgrown. You are no longer defined by what happened. You are defined by what you have become through it. Your destiny is calling, your future is waiting, and your purpose is demanding your full presence. Congratulations, woman. It's done, and you will never have to go through that again.